Hello, creative people. Welcome to Creative Conversations. My name is Hollis Citron, and we are so happy that you have chosen to spend this hour with us. So, a little background: I am owner and founder of I Am Creative and Express Yourself Publishing, and I am on a mission to expand the definition of creativity beyond a pencil and a paintbrush and to empower people, especially adults, to own their voices and talents that come in so many different forms. So I created this space to talk to people with all different kinds of jobs, hobbies, and interests, and to have conversations about experiences and perspectives, all centered around three questions. One, how do you define creativity? Two, how do you incorporate it into your life? And three, why do you think that it's important? And then we have a free flowing conversation and we see where it goes. So I am so grateful to have had the opportunity to talk to so many people. I've spoken to musicians, Reiki masters, mediums, doctor, lawyer, real estate agents, entrepreneurs as young as 13, and so many more. And these conversations explore the reality that creativity is not cute, it is necessary. People have defined creativity as their soul's essence, their courage, imagination, basically all that we are and want to be. So I believe from my heart that sharing these stories gives someone the ability to expand one's thinking, open themselves up for more self expression, to feel more empowered, connected, and dare I say, happy. So, my inspiring guest for today is Jenni Glad. She's a transformational coach, clinical hypnotherapist, speaker, and writer. She's the creator of the Clarity Method, and she's the master of helping people to reconnect with themselves, selves, to change their beliefs, thought patterns, and habits for self mastery, happiness, and success. Her mission is to show everyone that you are the creator of your happiness and reality, and you can consciously change and create your desires real. Jenni, welcome to the space.
Hello.
Hello, Jenni. How are you?
Hey, I'm good. I'm good. So happy to be here.
So happy that you're here. And yes, we are doing this again. So may the internet gods be with us today.
Yes, I'm sure they are. I invited everybody in. So
Wonderful, wonderful. The more the merrier. So I want to
yeah.
welcome those here with us live. Thank you so much for being here. Any questions or comments you have, you can put them in the chat box below. So, Jenni, I just read a tiny bit about you. Can you please
Mhm.
tell us more about yourself before we dive into the questions?
So yes, a little bit about my background. So I completely changed my life and pretty much my lifestyle. 8 9 years ago, after I faced big tremendous obstacles and struggles in my own life, and I had no option anymore to push back my own creativity, and kind of hold myself back from moving towards my dreams and goals that I had no idea actually when I started. And that happened after 12 years career in corporate and business world. I was working on IT for a pretty long time, and I had this creative urge inside me, this calling that I wanted to follow, but fear held me back for quite some time. And
Mm.
today I'm doing, as you expressed, so I'm working as a transformational coach. I help people to get unstuck, when they are in the situation with their business or career that they don't know what to do, how to monetize their business, or what is the next creative big idea, what is their purpose driven vision. I help with that. I help them to heal a little bit about the past, what's coming in the way, and then focus on what's happening internally, externally, and then move towards the next big thing.
Mm. Yeah, we are our own best clients, aren't we?
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, absolutely. My work
Like,
has changed a lot, over the years, but it's like it's definitely it's still there. The core is the same, the path is the same. What I pretty much went through, and of course we're never ready. So it's always like I'm always expanding and growing and learning and healing myself as well.
yeah, which is
Mm.
perfect because that's what we're born to do. That's how we know what our why is, right?
Absolutely. And I believe like we need to flow in life. So it's like quite often we think like, okay, when I get that, when I'm there, when I achieve that, when I accomplish that, whatever it is, what people think, then we are happy. But we're happy. We can be happy all the time and still move on and
Mm,
thrive forward. And I think that was the one of the biggest lessons for me to learn. Um, to stop kind of a thinking and aiming, the then whens, because the then when is not happening, because the before that are happening a lot of obstacles and struggles, and what we need to learn is to connect with it and find the
mm.
happiness in the here and now. As you said, like may I say happiness, yeah, it's really about happiness in the end. It's not really about the success, but more likely what makes us happy, what makes us feel fulfilled and do the meaningful things.
I love how you said then when. I
Mm.
haven't heard it said like that before. I mean, I've heard it said in many different ways, but it's true. We say then, it's kind of like, the but. There's nothing good that follows a but.
Yeah, if I get that, then I would be,
Yeah.
happy.
It's the but, the then, the when.
Yeah, and then we forget what's going on in the here and now and focus on the negative things, and and that grows.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm.
Wonderful. Okay, this is going to be good. So let's start with our would you rather. I chose a different one for you
Mm-hmm.
today,
Mm.
and then
Mm-hmm.
we'll dive in. So, would you rather be proposed to in private or in front of family and friends?
Oh, private, private.
Yeah, yeah. Are you a private person?
I am. Even though I'm sharing quite a lot, I am quite private, and it takes a while until I sort of let people in. And there's no hesit. That's who I just am. I take a while, and it's taking a while to kind of warm me up
Mm-hmm.
until I open myself up.
Mm-hmm.
I guess, yeah. If I'm
Yeah,
thinking about my friendships, for example.
yeah, yeah. No, I totally get it. I'd want to be
Mm-hmm.
proposed to in private also,
Mm.
which I was. But yeah, I don't think I wouldn't want in front of that. It's this attention thing that yeah.
Yeah, I love that you mentioned. I got married, and when I got married, there was only my husband's brother and my friend, witnessing, and that was our wedding.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I thought about it, and I totally agree. It was about the attention thing, and I felt so overwhelmed by all those emotions that I was like, I can't handle it all. It was such a happy moment.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm.
I think it's beautiful. I think it's great to. I think it's important for people to realize who they are and what kind of learner they are, what kind of person they are, how they show up in the world, and that we don't have to do things like everybody else.
Yes. Yeah, I totally agree. And before, before the second part of my own life, before I started that, I did everything. I was a good girl. I followed, the rules and created a good career and wanted to get married and have kids, and that didn't happen until after.
Mm-hmm.
But I thought like that's the thing. That's the path that you follow.
Mm-hmm. Right. Right.
And that's what we
Yeah.
see in media and communities and society.
Yeah.
That's what makes us happy, but it's not true. But for me it was super hard to break those
Yeah. I
layers
mean,
and boxes around me, so that I could do my own thing in my own way.
exactly. So that's why we're here. Like, that's why, that's why we show up doing what we do in order to help be a guide and give people that strength in order to do that and not just be, part of that norm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And if, yeah, we all looking for self acceptance or acceptance from the others. and more we need self-acceptance. So we need more
Yes.
self-acceptance who we are. And actually today I was working with somebody, and he's like, I want to know who I am. I don't want to move forward until I know and can be who I am. And that's what a lot of my clients say. And that's what, some of the younger clients that I have been working on, they say at the age of 11, I just want to be myself and I feel like I
Oh,
can't. That's heartbreaking, isn't it?
it is. Wow.
Mm.
Yes.
And that's what people say on their 40s and 50s because they still feel I can't be myself.
Mm,
I can't express myself, my creativity, my gifts, my skills. And
mm. Okay, so let's dive into um, the three questions and then we're going to get deeper. So, Jenny, how do you define creativity?
um, expressing the self and the soul and intuition, and with expressing I mean like speaking up, doing things, for example, the traditional creativity is like painting or writing or something like that, or just through the work. Because I think we all have, we are all creative. You agree with this, of course. And, we all do creative things every day, but most people, they just don't see that, doing accounting can be creative because they need to create some processes. They need to create the way of working, and they need to be creating to find the solutions and
Yes.
solve problems. So I see creativity everywhere, and I see everybody are creative,
Yes.
and everybody's creating life. This, yeah.
Yes. 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 Creating solutions, creating life. Yeah. Express creativity is expressing the self, and like you said, expressing by using your voice, by speaking up. Um, Key, because that's the whole purpose of this, is expanding this whole definition beyond a pencil and a paintbrush. And
Mm,
I've seen it so many times that, oh my gosh, like when people own their talents, like I'm very happy that you brought up about an accountant because,
mm-hmm,
when you speak to people doing business and like within these spaces, often people will say, I don't know how to draw or paint. That's
mm,
usually immediately the first thing. But then they say, I don't have a creative bone in my body. It's like, that's so not true. And exactly what you brought up, like an accountant, you're finding solutions, working with numbers and organization,
mm-hmm,
problem solving. I mean,
mm-hmm,
all of that, like everybody has their gifts that they bring. And
mm-hmm,
once people acknowledge it, and see, oh my gosh, like that's my zone of genius, not just my zone
mm-hmm,
of excellence. The book
mm-hmm.
that I was reading called The Big Leap.
Oh, my favorite.
Oh my
All my
God,
clients are reading that.
love that book. But yeah,
Yeah.
the difference between your zone of excellence and your zone of genius, I just thought that that was brilliant.
Mm-hmm. I totally, because yeah, and I think it's really about flow and finding that flow. Working with the numbers. It's like you're getting excited about them, and I'm not so much enjoying about numbers. I could be better with numbers, but
Well, me too. Me
but
too.
just an example when we talk about the accountant. When you
But there,
find the flow, you allow yourself, let go of those restrictions.
mm, allow to let go of restrictions because there are those people that love numbers and
Yes.
they love numbers, and some might be embarrassed to say it. They might be like, well, actually I really love numbers and I love working with them.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's amazing.
Yeah,
Like
because
that.
it's not sexy.
Yeah, but to them it is. It's like when I was talking to a biologist in this space,
Mm, mm,
and he was like, Hollis, I don't know why you have me here. Like, I am so not creative. And I'm like, why do you like being a biologist? He's like, I think
mm.
it's sexy when you look inside the microscope and you see the colors and the shapes and the way things come together. I'm like, that's why we're talking.
Yeah, nature, our bodies. That's yeah, yeah. And what I meant, by the way, it's not sexy. I'm not saying it's not sexy. I don't think, but they think it's not sexy.
Right. Right.
They think that other people think that it's not sexy. That's why they can't really, see their worth or
Yeah. Yeah.
value.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I totally get that.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay. So tell us a little bit more about your journey. So you said that you were in IT,
Mm-hmm.
and that you had your own breakthrough like 8 or 9 years ago.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So what did that look like? Tell us a little bit
Oh
more.
gosh, it was a years of you. It took like 5 years for me to get there, and it was not the happy place to be in the end. Um, I suddenly started, encountering these obstacles, big obstacles like serious illness and burnout, and relationship ended, and that really triggered me a lot in me, and I kind of numbed my own emotions and thought that I'm really really happy, but I didn't, grieve, go through the sadness. I sort of thought that it's a good thing, but I didn't know how to deal with myself. And then at the same time, I started working a lot, and ended up burning myself
Mm,
completely out. And then it was that time when I went back to journaling, started meditating. I had a long yoga practice already by that time, but even though you are doing yoga, it doesn't mean that it's easy for you to meditate and be present
mhm,
and connect with that quiet, silent space where all creative ideas live, by the way. And but I needed to do that. I realized that I need to take care of myself and focus on myself rather than others and external things. And that started up a journey for me to dive deeper. And I realized already then that I need to change, but I was afraid to change because I thought I had invested so much in my career. I thought like what other people would think of me if I, be myself, be spiritual, be creative, leave the sort of a businesswoman role that I had built, or mask, or and change and start doing things. But eventually I ended up doing that. Before that, I went through like a near death experience and another horrible relationship. I tried to find a job, but I didn't find anything really talking to me in that sense, speaking to me, inviting me in. I felt like I just changed to the same if I changed the jobs.
mm.
So I knew that I need to change pretty much my whole life, and that was freaking scary.
Yeah. Yeah. It's kind of a little
To call,
overwhelming.
yeah, yeah, oh god, yeah, yeah, kind of overwhelming. But in the end, more things happened in my life. My ex-partner died. We were not together, but he was important to me. He was in my life for 7 years, and yeah. And in the end, I was in the place that I realized I need to choose myself. There's nobody else I need to choose.
Mm,
And I realized the power of the present moment. And the big question that I started asking myself, I still remember I was lying on the floor and I was like feeling depressed and anxious and scared, not knowing what next. I needed to start over again. I didn't lose my job, so that was like a lifesaver for me, that I had my routines, and that was still going on, but I understood that I can't live like that anymore.
mhm,
And the big questions that I started asking myself: what if it was me who was somehow creating all that was happening to me externally? What if it was not like my destiny, or things were not just happening out of blue? And that actually was really empowering for me to understand that if I was able to affect in my own life that like that it went like downwards, I could take the power back and start creating and working and healing myself so that I could create things consciously
mm,
and invite good things in. And I started this happiness project, And my aim was like, I want to be happy every day.
Hmm.
And I hadn't felt that for quite some time. I just realized that in that moment. And I was like, I'm going to focus on myself, healing myself. And I started listening, the podcasts were not that big that time, but YouTube and Inspired. And I gave myself permission to connect and put things down what I dreamt of. And it was not easy to know what I want when you haven't asked that questions ever from yourself. Like, what is that? What do you desire? What is that? What do you want? What kind of a life you want to live?
Hmm.
Um, that was huge for me. But I did the work and I got excited and I found like things were working. I changed things internally. I started healing the past. I started focusing on being present. I started appreciating life in a whole new way, and started connecting with myself, with my true self, and my desires and my creativity. And slowly but surely, it didn't took that long. Actually, it was like a 6 months, and I was like in the whole another space or planet.
Yeah. Yeah. So wait a minute. So when you said happiness project, so what you
Mm.
created, so this was for yourself, basically?
Yeah, this was myself. This was for myself, and yeah, for my well-being, for the rest of the life, for my rest of the life.
No big deal. Just the rest of your life.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just a
Well,
little
in
thing.
that sense, because there was
Yeah.
so many big things that caused me so much struggling
Right.
that I was like, I can't deal with this shit anymore.
Right. Right. But I think it's a really important thing what you said. And I'd like to dive a little bit deeper
Mm-hmm.
into when you said, what do I want? And you said
Mm-hmm.
that it's a hard thing to answer when you've never asked yourself this or you've never spent time in this. So, can you just tell us a little bit more? I know you said that you were watching some YouTube's things and podcasts,
Mm-hmm.
but how did you start to answer that question? What are some actions that you took?
I allowed myself to do what I wanted to do. What I felt, I asked myself, what do I feel like doing? And I waited until I knew. This is how I started practicing my intuition as well. I asked, what do I feel like doing after work, for example? Should I go out to gym or just read a book or just journal or just be
Mm,
or see a friend, or instead of kind of rushing into things and not thinking about it, I
yeah.
started doing what I felt like doing, like serving myself, valuing myself, my needs, resting when I needed to rest,
Mm,
creating that space internally. And when I got more connected with myself with the daily meditation practice, journaling practice, focusing on appreciating what I had, I realized, like, for example, I have so much, and I thought that I don't have much. But I
mm,
started seeing this positive, creating these positive cycles, and then I started connecting slowly, like, hey, how does my big vision look like? What do I really want to do? And why it was hard to for me to answer those questions is like, as I said, I had never asked those questions before. I felt like nobody really asked me ever, like, what is that? What do you want to do? It was more likely like, just do what you need to do to
mm.
sort of survive or get a good job or career or something.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
that kind of a heart-based desire was missing, and self-belief that I could actually change,
Mm, yeah.
getting the
Uh,
courage to change and sort of be me.
yeah. I love that part of building your intuition. And
Mm,
instead of, because I think it's kind of a norm or a solution where people could say, okay, so what do I want to do? What do I want? Okay, let's make a list. and let's
Mm-hmm.
like create this structure of, okay, I'll go to the gym and I'll exercise and I'll get my body in shape, and then I'll journal, and then I'll do this, and then I'll do that. So it's the thinking that creating the structure, which for some people that might work,
Mm-hmm.
that might be a solution. um, but instead taking away from that structure and actually asking yourself, and then most importantly being patient enough to wait for the answer.
Yes, that's the thing. And that was really important part of the healing because I started connecting with my thoughts and feelings behind it. And when I went through the burnout, I felt like I'm so blocked. I can't really connect with myself, my emotions. I felt like I can't connect with who I am. The mind's chatter was so loud, and I felt so congested and so blocked
Yeah.
in my head, in my mind, in my body. The connection was not there. And this is sort of I started building the connection so that I could be present and feel empowered
Yeah.
and hopeful and taking action from that place so that I can see that my own decisions matter. I can choose. I empowering myself in a new way, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it definitely does, because earlier you were talking about being numbed out, and
Yes. Yeah.
this is what happens when we get caught in the hamster wheel, when we get caught in the so much mind chatter, so many circumstances going on in life, because life happens, and some people have really dramatic things happen.
Mm-hmm.
And some people have what someone else might not perceive as something being dramatic, but to them it is.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's all in perception. So I just really can't stress enough this word, which I really love, is connection. Because
Mm-hmm.
when you when you take this time, and it can be really uncomfortable at first, because you can second guess yourself and be like, there could be mind chatter there, like, well, do I really want to do that? I feel like
Yeah.
I want to do yoga, but do I really want to do yoga? Maybe I want to
Yeah.
do something else. So it's giving yourself permission to, like, like you said, the word flow, to kind of flow
Mm-hmm.
with it. And then,
Mm-hmm.
oh my gosh, so much the expression, the way that you define creativity is expressing the self. You will find that your expression will just, you'll get to, it'll be like a flood. It'll just start
Yeah. Yeah.
flowing through.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that was like really changing how I felt and changing who I was and changing how I wanted to live. And before I totally numbed myself with work and alcohol and going out and, all that because I didn't know how to change. I was not aware.
Mm, yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So, could you please talk to us more about this? Because you're the creator of the Clarity Method. Could you tell us more about this
Yes,
method?
it's pretty much like the method that is following, my own healing and own process how I started creating and connecting with my passions and purpose driven work. It was really important for me. I was always the girl who was kind of pondering deep things and had deep thoughts and asking my friends like, what is the meaning of life? What does
Yes,
love even mean? And they're just like,
I so
oh
relate
gosh.
to that. Yes. Oh my God, I
And
was.
they're just like, oh gosh. Like, why are
There
we
she
even
goes.
doing this? Why are we here?
You're like 5.
Yeah.
Friends are like, oh, there goes Jenny again.
Yeah. And
Because, okay, because.
because I believed, I've always remember I have believed, even when I was a little girl, there must be more in this life. What I saw around me happening, like life should be happy. I didn't sign up for this.
So funny. I
Yeah.
know. I so relate to. I mean, I remember sitting on my parents' bed and just having these conversations with my dad about, like, the universe, and I was probably like 10,
Mm,
and
mm.
what it means and all of this kind of stuff. Yeah, that was just a flashback.
Yeah. But going back to the method, so I pretty much created the method. It didn't, of course, it was not part of my work right away. It became part of my work, after we moved to New York City, and then I started my company there again, or new company. I started my company first in Finland and then in the USA. And then when I started working with the clients, I started noticing that I'm pretty much the people I work with are going through the same process that I went through.
Hmm.
And so sort of a feeling stuck where they looking for something deeper, more meaningful. They are open, ready to open themselves up for bigger things, but they don't know how to move forward, and they feel that they are blocking and holding themselves back. And I think that that is the biggest struggle. We can easily change the external things or take action, but when you feel like you're blocking yourself, you're standing in your own way, and you don't understand what's going on and how to get over yourself, sort of how to
Yeah,
get over yourself, it's really painful place to be. You
yeah,
know that you have a bigger thing. You know that you could do a lot of things in life, and you have sort of a vision if you allow yourself to connect with that and say things out loud. My dream is to create a big business or write a book or whatever it is for it. Everybody's, it's always unique. It's always because we're all unique and special. um, so I started working with the clients who went through these kind of issues, feeling stuck, and I helped them to unstuck and started creating and going after their desires and goals. And along that, I created the method, the clarity method. So first of all, we do the healing part and go back to whatever is going on. And a lot of my clients are exhausted and drained and, burnout. And it's hard to create from that place if you don't have energy. You need
mm,
energy, you need space internally, space externally. And that's why habits and clear structure. So I love structure. I need structure because I'm all over the place, but I need to play inside that structure.
mm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So there's freedom inside the structure, because otherwise I don't get anything done. And
Yeah,
so are many of my clients. If there's no plan, if there are no clear intentions or goals or visions where they're going, it's, you just like, you don't get much anywhere. You just hustle. Um, so the clarity method, it's really partly about high performance habits and creating the structure so that you can connect and stay connected on daily basis, so that you feel good, so that you feel happy, so that you recognize those happy moments even though you have had like really shitty day.
yeah,
And that's again going back to my own story, that it was my happiness project. And I suddenly saw like, hey, I'm feeling great, I'm feeling happy every day. Okay, it's not being perfect day, but life is not perfect, and we often aiming for that everything should be perfect and then we can be satisfied and content, and that's not true.
so not true.
Yeah, and then the part is the confidence and really connecting deeply inside, so that you find the heart-based and authentic goals and desires. For example, when we're working with a business idea, we I help them to find their zone of genius. So, what makes really them my clients to flow and feel great and feel excited, because we can't be happy if we're not excited about our own work.
Yeah,
If we hate the jobs, or sometimes when people are stuck in their job, their day job, and they want to get something else, and they just like I can't change because there's not that kind of a job that I can get, or that's not existing. We always find things that are really, working for them, because
yeah,
our own mind is so limiting and it's limiting for purpose because it's trying to keep us safe and protected.
Right.
And we're terrified to go out of our comfort zones because we want to stay in familiar. And when you start understanding the brain and how the brain and thoughts and emotions are working, and how to start allowing them to work for you and start having these conversations and dialogue in a different way,
Yeah.
that's when the real change is happening quite fast. And when there's space, then we can start connecting with the visions and desires.
Mm.
For example, I have this based on my method, I have created this conscious creator program, and now I'm running the live version of it, and it's week 3 this week. And tomorrow we've been connecting with the feelings, started working with the limiting beliefs, what's coming in the way, and shifting the energetics, like in really interesting ways. Everything is energy, of course. Your thoughts are energy, your feelings are energy. How you feel, what you do on a daily basis. We create a new structure. We create a daily habits and self-care practice that
Mm-hmm.
includes quite often journaling. It's a wonderful therapeutic method to connect and become aware of what's going on internally, so that you feel that your energy is shifting and your moods are shifting. And yeah, so we sort of create this toolbox, and then when there's more space and we start connecting with the vision, so that then where you move towards to. And this is
Yeah.
super important. And that was super important for me because I was like, I don't know if it's working. I don't know if it's possible. I started, questioning myself. I don't know. That's what I want, but, it feels so far. How can I get there?
Yeah.
You know, and of course, that's like I started doubting myself. But I was like, if I don't do anything, if I don't try, if I don't find these baby steps and start inviting and taking action, putting myself out there,
Yeah.
nothing's working out. So finding that trust, and as you said already, my favorite, giving yourself permission to do things and
Yeah.
having the confidence. You need some confidence and courage so that you can get there.
Yeah. I like what you're, two things that are standing out to me was the first one of saying things out loud,
Mm-hmm.
like when you speak it, instead of keeping it in, because our brain has what, I'm just going to throw a number out there, like 90,000 thoughts a day or something, but so much of it is so repetitive,
Yeah.
and of the day before and the day before and the fear and the worry. So but we might think in our heads, I really want to go bungee jumping. That'd be
Mm.
fun, that'd be fun.
Mm-hmm.
But we never say it. So then when
Mm.
we actually say it, you might start off, it might come out like it's been stuck for so long. It's like, I want to go bungee jumping. Or
Mm.
it might be really meek, like, I want to go bungee jumping.
Mm.
Or
And
not
that's
meek, but
knowing.
just
Yeah,
quieter.
that's kind of a knowing it's going to happen. That's what I really want. And
Yeah. So
those are
when
wonderful things, because it's usually leading to success.
yeah,
They
because
have. Mm-hmm.
you have to say it out loud. Sorry, I interrupted. Go ahead.
Mm-hmm. No, 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 sorry.
Yeah. I mean, you just have to speak it. And then the whole thing of creating the space. You said multiple times, and I just like that concept where you have to create the space in order to connect with the desires. Because when we have so much clutter in our minds and in our bodies, because energetically we're just cluttered and we're weighed
Mm.
down and we feel heavy. Uh, but when we release that and create more space, then we can get that heart centered connection.
Mm. That's right. That's right. And that's why healing the past, especially related to the blockages, is so important. And many of my clients are women entrepreneurs and sort of empathic, sensitive ones, and healers and therapists, and you have big hearts and they want to help others, and they are ambitious, but they just like hold themselves back, and like me, I was the good girl and definitely a people pleaser, and still work in progress in many ways. I'm not saying that I'm perfect, but um it's like I want to see more women rising into their power in that sense, and making money, and not giving up on their dreams and desires and goals.
Yeah. Okay, so let's, because we are, oh my gosh, like it's already, we're getting to the top of the hour. So I want to find out more with the second question, and I want to welcome people here with us live. Thank you for being here. Any questions or comments, please feel free to put them in the chat box where we can see them. So, how do you incorporate more creativity into your own life? You've mentioned some things, but is there a deeper dive we can go in with that?
Um, I incorporate creativity. Going to nature is working for me really well. Feeling grounded, taking time, and I started. I journal every day. Somehow, I scribble out something, and I work with my own emotions and thoughts. And when I say I work with my own emotions and thoughts, I deal with the daily stuff. So
Uh-huh.
yeah, so dealing with the daily, if I feel suddenly triggered, and every day we have these challenges a little bit, and every day it's part of the. We are supposed to feel these feelings every day, all range of feelings and emotions. So quite often we want to shut them down, or shut off the unwanted, uncomfortable feelings. But it's not helpful if you do that in long term. It leads to issues, depression, anxiety. So, and I've been there myself. So it's like you want to feel your feelings, and because behind that you connect with your true self. And allowing yourself to feel is showing, of course, self-love and self-acceptance. And then you feel free to create and do. And for me, creativity is like creating new programs for my business, creating um, new offers, writing things down. I'm writing my journey. I just realized, like, I'm journaling every day, and I'm realizing that I'm kind of taking notes of my own life and what is working, and that is hopefully in the future leading to a book.
Mm-hmm.
And because I always feel like I'm writing like to somebody, like if
Mm-hmm.
somebody would read it. It's funny that I just realized a couple of days ago.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And how else? Cooking is very creative sort of a time for me. I love doing that, expressing myself, creating something. I rarely cook same thing twice.
Really? So are you a recipe follower or no?
No, I kind of look for inspiration, and then I never kind of follow the recipe.
My daughter always says to me, because I get a little like, anyway, spices. It's kind of like I don't
Mm,
dive into the spices as much. And she'll say, Mom, that's what a recipe is for.
yeah.
She'll speak slowly to me and say, Look at the recipe. I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, I hear you. Stop talking slow to me.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah, I know. I know. And last week we started painting with my daughter, so that's been sort of on my list. So I'm definitely a list person. I write lists. I write lists of my my visions. I write lists of everything. It's helping me to structure my brain that it can be quite busy,
Hmm.
and I need these tools. There's a reason why I created Clarity Method, because I need tools to help myself feel calm and connected and get things done, because I'm definitely hustler if I don't have structure in my days
Hmm. Yeah,
and in
totally
my life.
understand that.
Yeah,
And that's
and
important that you mentioned
mm,
that. I'm
mm.
sorry to interrupt, but
No, don't worry.
I think that it's important to highlight the fact of the way that lists can be really our brains. When you have that creative brain, that kind of is like can have I call shiny object syndrome. So it's like,
Mm-hmm.
oh yeah, that'd be fun. That'd be fun. That'd be fun.
Oh,
Ooh yeah, let's do that. Then
yeah.
not a lot gets done. I feel like there's a time for that. When as you said earlier that there's play within the structure.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
if it's a constant, then not a lot gets done.
yeah, and that is causing a lot of frustration when you feel overwhelmed about the ideas, and that is that is my sort of a, I wouldn't say it's a problem. I think it's a good problem to have, but I get so sometimes like too much is
Hmm.
sort of a coming into my mind, and it's like, okay, let's put that on the back burner. So I have these tools, I put them down, I write them down. Okay, let's focus on that now.
Hmm.
I'm doing this one thing at the same time. Oh, one thing and finish one thing, and that's not always happening. But learning the balance to
Yeah.
flow and create and also finish, because it's very rewarding us when we finish things.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yes. Yes. We can have so many things that are unfinished. And that word balance, love that word too. Uh, and if you're that kind of, if you're in a space where you're in your job and it may not be your happy place, you need to find it in your life outside. Because I can tell you that when you start incorporating these things into your life on your free time, it changes everything else. Like you have to bring it in baby steps.
Hmm. Yeah.
And like we were saying through this, listen to your intuition, learn to, strengthen that aspect of yourself, and play more and do those things. And it will alter things. And you don't always know the how.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely not knowing the how, but when you focus on the outcome, it can be terrifying, and too it can be too far. And therefore, finding the next step, baby step, and finding the joy, kind of a tapping into what feels good, what feels fun, what feels joyful, so that you have that feeling when you're doing things. And of course, sometimes there's a moment that we just need to sit on the chair and just get things done. But listening to the sort of a inner urge, calling, intuition, what feels fun. So that's why, for example, I make a list for the week, and I set sort of a intentions. This is what I want to do, and this is everything what is coming out. I kind of put that all on the paper, and then
Hmm.
I prioritize. But I don't really put things down in my calendar. I'm going to work like 30 minutes on that, because it rarely happens. If I do that, I feel like I need to do something else. But I need to keep things really simple. And what people are doing, what makes them fail is that they put too much pressure on themselves, and the expectations are too high. And I would love to, I could talk about time and sort of a, not time management, but a relationship with time, like 2 hours, because that's important. But yeah, we have too high expectations on ourselves, and we don't really consider that there's life, and things are coming in the way, and somebody's ringing their doorbell, and there's a package coming in, and then you get the phone call, and then you have to send a message to somebody,
Right.
and
Right.
so um, I think
Right.
sort of the good old less is more when we want to work on our
Yeah.
things, and especially creative things.
It's interesting because I found I was listening to Mind Valley.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the I did this workshop, and I was talking about time management, and he created on a Google Calendar and color coded things, and the way you
Mm.
want, and just for time blocking basically.
Mm-hmm.
And I've actually found that really helpful for me to
Mm-hmm.
even put in like when I'm going to eat, when I'm going to do
Mm-hmm.
my own artwork, when I'm going to do that kind. And I found that I'll stick to that because I've actually built the time in.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas the way I work, I could be like, oh, okay, well, I have all of this stuff that I'm doing for my business, and neglect that aspect of the actual me time. But when I
Yeah.
see that I've actually put it on into this colorful visual way, that I always give the color purple because I love purple. So
Mm-hmm.
I see it on the calendar and I'm like, Hollis, create, work on these one way signs that I'm working on for an hour and a half. It's like, okay,
Mm.
Now I'm accountable. I'll do it.
Yeah, yeah, and I totally agree with that. And for example, today I had but I had like a 3 hour slot for myself,
Mhm.
and I got a bunch of things done, and then I had the lunch, so I do that as well. So and sort of a block the time for certain kind of tasks, and that was for working on business, but a lot of other things got done aside. So I allowed myself to flow in there, but then having time off and eating lunch and taking a little walk outside in the morning, and I schedule these things in, but I don't necessarily put them in my Google calendar, but I plan the day in
Yeah.
my journal.
That me time is so important.
Yeah,
I've always thought that, but I've never really understood it. I've never really
yeah.
integrated it into my body. But now the integration is like, it's like, okay, okay, I'm listening because when I don't, or when you, I mean, I've just been, I haven't been feeling well for like a month. And it's kind of like
Mm,
the 2x4 that hits you in the face. It's like, okay, I'm listening. I'm sorry. Yes, I need to rest. There needs to be rest in there and not go, go, go.
absolutely. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And that's something what I mean, that kind of a creating the space internally.
Yeah.
So sometimes I feel like it looks like, at least in social media, that all I do is sitting on the beach or walking in the forest or doing yoga. But that's not real, because I feel like, why do I share me sitting by the desk and doing the work?
That's so, I mean, seeing those images though, I mean, so much get done. I mean, one of my mentors, I mean, she's just amazing because she spends so much time in this space of joy and in
Yeah.
this space of flow and release, and things flow to her. She's doing the work, she's taking the action, but
Mm,
she's spending so much time in that other space because she's not getting all gripped up and tight
mm.
to where these things can't come in.
Yeah, absolutely. And then you're much more productive when you have a good plan. And yesterday I started in the evening. I planned this week, and I really set clear intentions what I want to do this week. And it was clear what I do this morning when I woke up. And yeah, and what do you say about me time and making space for that? Before I had my daughter 3 years ago, I had all the time in the world, of course.
Right.
But that was
Right.
another transitional time.
Always, like, even
So the
I,
last 3 years, I mean.
it's, yeah, I mean, being like transparent, like right before this morning when we were waking up, the communication did not happen where our daughter, who's 18, she
Mm.
isn't driving and she had to get to work. And so this morning the conversation happened as opposed to yesterday. Like,
Yeah.
how is she going to get to work? I'm like, well, I can. I have a podcast. My husband's like, well, I have a call. I'm like, well, I can't cancel my podcast. So we're like, we're going back and forth. And then our son, who gratefully is, 21, he's sitting there, he's like, I can take her. I'm like, okay. But then I said to our daughter, I'm like, babe, you have to take the initiative the night
Mm-mm.
before.
Mm.
Or, a few days before, and tell us your schedule. So, because it's not my responsibility. Yes, I am mom and I juggle a million things, but that isn't my responsibility. You're old enough now.
Mm. Mm. Yeah, exactly. And taking the responsibility on ourselves is like most people are not doing. They just like, mm. So you have a great point in there. And I needed to learn to take responsibility and plan things and plan time and plan expectations. And when you mentioned your mentor, it's really about, you speed up. You become more productive when you show high self-worth and you align your energy. If you
Yeah.
know So it's clear in your head, so it's easier to sit by the desk and start doing things, and you feel excited about it, and things are just flowing.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes. Okay. So let's get to the third question as we are, yes, almost at the top of the hour. So we're kind of wrapping it up and putting a nice little bow on it. Why do you think creativity is important?
Well, I was like, what came to me is like, well, it's a life force, isn't it?
Yes, it
When,
is.
yeah. So, there's no life if there's no creativity. It's like um, everything what you see around you has been created by somebody when
Hmm.
you're looking at things and stuff. And but I think it's really, I connect that with the flow of life and moving on. And we as human beings need to feel that we're moving on. We don't like to sit still, and we get frustrated and bored and stuck eventually.
Mm.
So creating from the inside out, from the heart and heart based connection. So that makes us happy. It's quite simple, and it's quite sounds quite lame in the end, but it's really about happiness.
It is about it all. Yeah, it all boils down to
Yeah,
love, joy, happiness. I mean, that's just what
yeah,
we want. They're the main things we're striving for.
and feeling good, and to sort of make real what we really feel called to make real, and making those big things or small things or ordinary things that we feel like we are supposed to do, but expressing the real desires ourselves.
Yes, yes, expressing the real desires, which um, goes back to your original definition of how you define creativity. That it's
Hmm.
about expressing, speaking up
Mm-hmm.
for the self. Let me
Yeah.
see. Let me see. Thank you, that guy, for he said, in the end, we're all bags of hormones and meat powered by electricity. That's funny.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it's a way to look at it. My daughter would get so annoyed at me because at some points when she was like 13, 14, I'd say, "Oh my God, you're just one big hormone." She's like, "Stop calling me that." Like, but you are. We are. I'm at the
Yeah.
different phase in menopause, being one big hormone. So there's all
Oh my
different
god.
phases to it.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. It's like we're worrying so much about things that life could bring us, and we don't do. We stay stuck because out of the fear we can't move on, and we don't have to worry about the obstacles. Life will kind of give them to us,
it,
without
it
asking.
it's true, true. I love that you're all about flow. Like that's like just the word that really is connected
Hmm.
to you for me is, I mean, you've said it multiple
Yeah, and
times,
I
but
think
as you
it's the
speak,
conscious flow. It's like creating and going. It's really. I started my work by talking a lot about how the art of living in the present moment, because that's what I kind of figured out after all my obstacles, that's the main thing. Because then you have the power, then you feel empowered to change, then you can choose, then you can make decisions from that place for yourself. And it still is the main thing that you kind of see and appreciate what you have here right now, and
yeah,
not focusing on what you don't have, and creating from that place, asking
right.
questions.
So this has been such a great conversation. Can you please let people know how they can find you?
Oh yeah, from my website. So it's jenniglad.com. It's JENNIGLAD.com, and of course on Facebook and Instagram. So I'm both like Jenni.Glad. So you can find me there. Would love to connect. Would love to have more conversations. And of course, yeah.
Yeah, this has been so much fun. I'm so glad that the internet gods were with us today, and
Yeah.
you did a good job calling in everyone that you needed to call in, and it's just a great conversation. Is there, before I say my goodbyes, is there anything that you feel like you want to add to this, or any final words?
No, I think it's been a lovely, great, inspiring conversation. And thank you for having me. And I don't know, go and create, listen to yourself and do what your heart says. That's what I would say.
Perfect way to end it. This
Mm.
space is all about inspiring each other, connecting, and sharing stories. So please, I believe we've always needed this, but I think we need it now more than ever. So please like, follow, share, give the reviews on Podbean, Apple Podcasts, all those places where you listen is where this podcast is. So, with all the algorithms and all of that, it's very helpful in order to get this out to more people. So, wherever you are calling in from, we wish you a good morning, a good afternoon, a good evening, and look forward to talking to you soon. So, goodbye, everybody.
Bye bye.